Just to start. Okay. Are we ready?
But he asked you.
No, I don't.
Okay.
All right, this meeting will come to order. We're going to start with organizational matters. Then A, the appointment of Russ Arcade to this, and that is done by the county chair, if I am correct.
Yeah, so I made the appointment of Russ.
Chris?
Have I already made the appointment or am I making it now? He's here, so obviously.
He's here, but I think to make it
So
official.
it's official that the county board chair does make the appointment of Russ to the executive committee. Again, we're following the procedures we laid out when we started this board, that the general government chair would sit on this committee. And Russ, you are the general government chair, so that's my appointment, it's Russ.
I second that nomination.
I don't think it's necessary.
Wait till the. Okay, so now Russ is the official member. I'm the vice chair, we need a chair. So nominations are open.
Make a motion, we appoint Russ.
I'll second that.
Okay. Is there any other nominations?
Don't have to second it, but you want to vote.
Oh, you don't need to second that?
No, not nomination.
I want to vote on
Is there any other nomination? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
it. Hey, Russ.
Russ, you are the chairman, you get to run.
All right, thanks for having me on the committee. Never been on the executive. We have a motion to adopt the
I'll
agenda.
make the motion.
Second,
Mr. Chair, could I make a comment regarding number 11? I think with all, and first of all, I'll just say I dropped the ball on this one. We do not have the list of MOUs as we had anticipated having, and if we could, given our busy schedule, we'd be going over a lot of different things today. Could we move that to next month?
Anyone opposed to that? Yeah, I guess we roll on. Any discussion on the agenda? Not all those in favor?
aye.
Carries. How about the minutes of the July 9th meeting?
I'll move that we approve this. Indicated.
Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Anyone have any conflicts of interest? Anything on the agenda today? Won't say not. Are there any public comments? Got anybody out there that wants to comment?
Nobody upstairs? Chad?
No, there's no license.
All right.
Hold on. You just asked.
Are we having some technical difficulties?
Yeah.
Hey, can you send Chad Allram down here to the boardroom immediately? All right, can you run down here? We've got no audio going on. All right, man. Hey, Greg, can you hear me?
While we're waiting for this, what I passed out was this first one that says confidential on it. That's the letter the administrator received. And then we're gonna just follow up on the administrator's letter back.
Which one are we gonna comment on?
Pretty much, and a couple other things.
We're gonna discuss this in closed session.
No, I'm just gonna, I don't think we're going into closed session on any of it. I'm just giving you an overlay and get some recommendations. I'm just gonna in general just talk about it. I'm gonna do that under, receipt of information.
Where we at it?
We're at public comment, but there's no audio. Trying to fix the audio right now.
We're in the public comments, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the agenda. I don't know if there is any, but they don't have.
No, but we've got Greg Marston.
Sure.
He's on chat.
We had the same problem at the General Assembly yesterday. Our correspondence with my telephone. Yeah. That doesn't make me feel like. I understand that. We have purchased. Microphone. Like, got that. That maybe they could get in. Two things that were interesting though, I was 5 minutes It was just about life size on the video. That worked good with, Craig Thompson. And, it was very deep, very. I'd say the room there was bigger, by the everything. Transportation. Stuff. Yeah. I think, that's neat. We all met Scott, all right, we were. Any broadband connected with this? That's good.
Hey, are you able to hear me? Okay, all right, that's what I need. All right. So it's not on our end, no also can hear executive committee, so it's just that, it's the reporter's end.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna send him that message. You can tell him we've confirmed with. I just noticed Joe's doing that.
All right, we better move on then. Would we allow a public comment later if someone got connected? Anyone have an issue with that if someone later wanted to comment? So we can keep moving. Any supervisors here that aren't committee members that have any information for us?
So, Chair, I'm gonna use this chance, even though I'm not outside, but this is an opportunity that I know we've done in the past, where I'd just like to share some information with the committee members. So I went to Environmental Services yesterday and talked to them. I'm gonna kind of talk to all the committees over a couple issues. One is participating in our meetings due to COVID issue, and the kind of keeping a little decorum here where supervisors, if they're going to do WebEx, they have to be professional. They have to attend the meeting. They can't get up during the meeting and go eat a sandwich because they're in their office or in their home. They can't go answer the phone, answer the front door. We had a supervisor talking to customers at work while they're on WebEx. So we're saying, if you cannot make the meetings at the county boardroom or the facility, you're gonna attend them just like you would if you were here. Raise your hand, be professional, not have your life going on in the back room. I've also talked to a supervisor about his concern was that not everyone's wearing a mask in the building or us. So I told him this will be the last month we'll allow that to be WebEx, that we will create a room for him maybe the chair's office, where he'll be required to come to the board meetings. We'll give him his own room on our system, on our computer. And other than a broken leg, or you're in the hospital, or you've gotten permission, you're out of town, vacation, whatever the issues are that you are, but I'm not going to excuse someone due to COVID and mask issues, because we'll make a safe spot for him in the building. The other issue I'm talking about is the micromanaging of county supervisors. We're getting a little problem right now, and I'm trying to kind of explain to the new supervisors and that you work through committees, and this deal where there's supervisors going to staff, numerous staff people, and kind of skipping the administrator. They're taking up too much of our staff time, and we're supposed to be speaking to our administrator and our directors as a board, not as individuals. And we have individuals that are actually kind of going around the board. And so I need some direction maybe from this committee at some point on how to handle that, because we need to get a handle on it now. And so I'm trying to explain to everyone again that our job is not to micromanage. Our job is you want to be on an agenda, you put something on the agenda, that's where you discuss it. And you don't, and anything you want to go to any, even at this point, we may have to get a little stricter to say anything at this point must go through the administrator. And I don't know if we're at that point yet to say supervisors can't talk to anybody until the administrator approves it. I don't know how to handle that, but I just wanted to bring it up. And I think those were the main topics. And I just wanted to, and then share with you, I got a letter here from supervisors. We had 4 supervisors' name attached to it. They didn't sign it, but it came from Supervisor Duncanson, LeBlanc, Middleton, and Rowdy. And so I've given you guys a copy of this letter, basically saying they don't like the way the process is going. They don't like our legal advice that our corporation counsel has been giving, and doesn't like the county's association's advice. So, you know, they're not getting the answers they want from our legal counsel, so they're outsourcing it. And they basically asked Administrator Netherland, and I'm going to just break this simple, and I might have a little bit off, by asking Administrator Netherland to source additional legal counsel. And you can read Administrator Netherland's letter to them. And again, this kind of goes back into this whole thing where I just need to make the executive committee aware of this stuff is going on. And I just wanted to bring that up to your attention. That's all I had.
Anyone else have anything?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know what the issue is at the present time. I mean, we're talking about legal opinions of something that we really aren't deeply involved in any action at this time that requires outside. Oftentimes we've gotten outside counsel, but generally when we're in some type of litigation where we are either being sued or there's some question of our position on a critical issue, financially generally is what we've been involved in the past. But at this situation, I don't know why we would be creating some kind of a question of our counsel or any other counsel on something that's very general in respect. Is something that is happening around the state, but it's up and down, and you hear all kinds of comments. Everybody has every CAFO has a different situation involved. Maybe a CAFO in some other county is different and be totally different, have different elements involved than one that might be proposed in this county. And I'm not aware of any that are at this time. And So we can kick this around forever and never come up with the solution or an answer that's adequate to everybody until we come up with a real question as to what we are going to, how we're going to handle a specific situation, not a general situation.
Mr. Chair, can I comment on kind of where this letter is coming from?
Yeah, I would maybe say briefly, because we could have our whole meeting on this subject.
It boils down to this. I wanted to make sure that the supervisors at hand knew of the role of supervisors versus the staff. I wanted to make sure that they knew how they could move forward with getting another legal opinion. And it wasn't by coming to me, but rather by doing it in the open with the committee to say, because of these differences, here's why we think we need outside legal counsel. Thirdly, I want to explain that Corporation Counsel nor the staff take sides on these issues. And just because the Corporation Counsel's opinions, which I think are very solid and founded in good law, as a layman, I would not expect her to change her opinion because of pressure from supervisors. And I wanted to alert the chair that this is a precedent that when people don't agree with someone's opinion, and if they can get a legal opinion that will support their cause and they try to force that change, that sets a precedent. And if we go to outside counsel and they say, let's find a lawyer who will support our cause, then we're setting a precedent for every issue, every ordinance, every resolution. So this was my chance to say, we're done with issues going to staff, trying to influence policy in an inappropriate way. And I will say this, I appreciate their passion, their energy, their efforts, but in this case, and I'll just say this, we're working on the issue that we have seen supervisors attacked untruthfully. We've had a citizen break into our board meeting last month and it cost the board. We have a banner of staff being insulted that was put up by activists. And it seems like when people have a disagreement with their policy, they feel it's fair game to attack. Politicians, that may be the case. God bless you. But the staff are trying to do their job to their best abilities. And so I just respectfully ask that the supervisors recognize that it's not appropriate for them to come and try and influence decisions for a political reason. Thanks.
Chair, I'd like to add on to that. I think it'd be good for our committee to at least hopefully give me a recommendation or something on this. That and maybe it's just a head nod that we have this same discussion at our county board meeting. If you think it's appropriate.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. I mean, we have to get a handle on it. We cannot be acting as individuals. We have to act as, at a minimum, at a committee and then the board.
Okay.
So wherever it would be appropriate at county board in the agenda to address it.
Mr. Chair. And I've had a telephone call from, I'm chair of the Health and Human Services. I've had some telephone calls from some of my committee people, and I didn't give any opinion at all. I said, anything that you've even got on your mind, I can't discuss it with you. You come to the meetings. Bring it up at the committee. So that's just the way it has to be.
We'll talk about it at the county board meeting when everyone's there then, and we'll have the right setting. And I think we should all be prepared, corporation counsel, administrator, I think our executive team. We are the leaders here. You guys have been here a lot longer than I've been here. And I just think we need to have that discussion at the board to get this on track. And I'll reach out to everyone to make some comments then at our board meeting. Thanks.
Do we have any announcements? committee information, or is that what we just had?
Do you want us to give a report on the conference at Wisconsin Dells at all?
Full board, John.
Maybe to the full board.
Okay, that's fine. I
All
did-
right, what do we got on, got some amendments to the current rules of order? Ordinance 1320. Someone gonna speak to that?
Yes, and we've invited Kristen Bruder to attend our meeting from UW Extension, and involves moving UW Extension from the purview of the Environmental Services Committee to general government. And as you know, UW Extension goes way beyond agriculture. Maybe back in the day, that was its primary purpose. But we use Don Wortham for the CJCC. He has worked with our Community Services Division extensively. We have people working with human development and relationships, youth programs. And it really seems to fall under a general government type committee. And I've talked with Kristen, and she's in agreement. Lyle Doolittle will remain with the Environmental Services as an ag representative. But at this point, we thought the side benefit is because Environmental Services is swamped with so many things that we could move that to general government and take one thing off their plate and maybe fit them in where they're more appropriately suited.
I'll make that motion to do that. Do we need a motion? Or is this just something you're doing?
I think we do. Yeah.
Probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to make that change.
Is there any further discussion?
Or questions or comments maybe from Kristen?
I don't think we need it, as long as you guys
Okay.
need to do it, we don't have to have any discussion, we can just keep moving forward.
All right, well, we cut their pay a little bit then and move that to the general government.
Maybe Environmental Services.
All right, if there's no more discussion, we'll call for the vote on it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Someone want to comment on the filling county board
Yeah.
vacancies?
So I just, because there seemed to be a lot of controversy over what the job of the chair was to appoint, I just did what I was supposed to do. I vetted everyone I thought I did. I brought the names to this committee, which was not even required, and vetted them. I thought I went over and above what I was supposed to do, but clearly you still get criticized for whatever you do as the chair. Now I recognize that. So again, I want to thank John and Jake for pushing me into that job. So I just wanted to make sure I was doing the right thing, and that if anyone thinks that we should, the reporter, actually Greg Marston was the one that seemed to, the leader made a big story about it and called it cronyism. And I didn't know neither one of these people before. I knew them, but I've never known them. I never went to their house. I've never socialized with them. I never did anything with them. I've never been on done anything. Never even knew what Sharon Kelly looked like. And anyways, it was a pretty petty, low attack by one reporter who wanted to fluff this and gin up this story. The last county board dean, when I've been on the board, he appointed LeBlanc, and he appointed
Nick Larson.
Pat. They appointed Nick. No, but he appointed Pat Isaacson when Warren died. Isaacson, and he appointed Duncan or LeBlanc when Moriak left. So kind of the same thing. I did just so they were spread out, and no one ever made a deal out of that. So I just wanted executive committee to weigh in and to understand the rules of order. Malia may have a comment about it, but I just said I'd put on the agenda, and hopefully I don't have to do it again. But I just wanted to put it on the agenda because I said I would. So that's why I asked for it to be on the agenda.
Mr. Chair. So Administrator, another, do we have a policy in place now? Did we kind of followed the state guideline, but is it actually a policy? If not, we should have one written. And I agree, Mr. Nelson, you've done a hell of a lot more detail and research than ever came to us. Appointment in the county board in the past. They just brought up a name and that was to it.
I can assure you that Mr. Nelson checked with myself and with the Corporation Council, and it was within policy guidelines. In fact, I'll let Malia address it.
So when this county board declared itself a self-organized county, I believe this was in 2009 or thereabouts, you do have the option of setting your own mechanism by which to fill a vacancy. A lot of counties have that. If you don't, which we don't within our rules of order, it defaults to the statutory way to fill a vacancy, and that's exactly what Chair Nelson did. He followed the statutory guidelines. But if this board or this committee and then ultimately the county board wanted to implement some other mechanism, you know, where there were nominations from the towns and then vetted by the full county board or something like that. I know St. Croix County has a very detailed way they fill vacancies. You can certainly do that. You can do that at the next organizational committee meeting by simple majority, or you can amend your current county board rules of order by a 2/3 majority vote at the county board and implement some other mechanism. If you want, I can gather what other counties have and bring this to your next executive committee meeting to consider. Hopefully there won't be another vacancy between now and then. But that's something we can explore for you if you want.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to see us to bring it to a full board, pretty sure we'd get 2/3 of just simply the way we used to do it in the past. The county board has the full authority in case of a vacancy. The county chair does present to the board his nomination for approval. I think it should be that simple.
I think it should be in our rules of order. So
Yeah.
there is a process.
Yeah.
So there's no question. Pretty simple.
If you don't add it to the rules of order, it defaults to the statutory mechanism, so it is codified just in statute, not in your rules of order. If you wanted to change what the statute does, you do have the authority because we are now a self-organized county. So it would be if you want something different than how it's always been done, then we would need to amend the rules of order.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
take the pressure off the chairman or any chairman of this board. It'd probably be a good idea to have some rules of order. And if Malia can bring some to this committee that we could possibly follow or plagiarize, it'd probably be a pretty good idea. In the past, like John's talked about, and as most of us all know, that it was pretty simple. They came to town chairmen and asked them if about an individual that within their jurisdiction that they may or may not have known. And they did some bidding, but generally we didn't have the controversy. And it causes dissension within the group. And I think if we did it in a democratic way, more democratic way, or at least appear to be more democratic, it would be better accepted.
Anyone else want to comment? I would leave it alone personally. We can't be run by one reporter and one disgruntled candidate. I mean, but if the executive committee feels we need to do something, I'm not opposed to it. All the years I've been on the board, we have never had an issue with an appointment, and there's been many. I mean, I never knew they were clamoring to get on the board.
Mr. Chair, I might add one thing. I was appointed to the county board years ago and nobody objected to that. So the process is probably a bit of a problem.
So Chair, I'd like to, yeah, so
and part of the problem was, and I'll be very open about it, because it's got a letter, it's a public letter. Um, the other candidate that ran against Supervisor Masters is where it started from, and that individual actually wrote me a letter and asked to be considered to be nominated. And I didn't choose him. And so one day, he wanted the full powers of the county board chair to pick him. I didn't pick him. So then the next day, it was, cronyism. And the challenge is, being the chair is, our supervisors now have 2 or 3 districts, or I personally have 2 villages and a township. And I can tell you what, when I started calling each township up or each village up and asking them what they thought, the challenge is a little bit is, if you get too much into the weeds, each village wants their guy and the township wants their guy or gal. So it can be a little challenging, and just my personal opinion would be is, I think the process is good. It allows the chair to be neutral and not pick someone with an agenda. But the one thing I thought that I would have liked it to be in the rules of order would be that it did require the chair to bring it to the executive committee. And that's why I did that. That was not required, but I did it. And that's one thing that I thought, that would have been a little clear that we discuss it here. But that's my opinion.
So,
Process.
Mr. Chair, so what you're saying is you would like to see in that rules of order that the chair does make the appointment, but he asks the approval of the executive committee?
Prior, before going to the county board, so that there's a discussion about it, people know it's coming.
I think that really clears the
Following the
air.
state statute is fine, but just adding that one item to vet it to the executive, I think would kind of give the chair a little bit of cover that, that's my comment.
All right, so Malia, you're gonna write something up for the next meeting?
Yes.
Seeks the approval of the executive.
Done till the next meeting. What do we have on, we're supposed to get an update, possible action, comprehensive land use ordinance?
Yeah, so I had asked that to be on the agenda also, and I see staff's here, and I think they can fill in a little bit. The reason I brought it up and asked for it to be on the agenda is this is kind of going to the letters that I talked about earlier.
So I've attended some of these meetings, and we have 2 committees, and we have committee chairs here on both of them who can fill in the gaps more. But clearly, our county board has a resolution on the swine CAFO. It went to environmental services. They've developed a conditional use, or pretty much a month or so ago, they had a tie vote on whether to send it to the state. Now there's another ordinance, an operational ordinance that's coming that was basically copied and pasted from another county and township, and that seems like it's running through environmental services. So there seems to be a lot of conflict between 2 committees. And what I'm concerned with is that, we're running up to the deadline on this moratorium that we've extended. We did it once for 6 months. We did an extension for another 6 months. And we have a conditional use basically in place and what the committee wanted to kind of go through. But I think someone told me, and it was a good analogy, it's kind of like, I feel like staff is being asked to put all the nails in the building today, and then tomorrow take them all out, and then the next day nail them back up. It'd be like me asking my employees, put all your nails in today, and then take them all out tomorrow, and then put them back in the next day. And I feel like, and then there's supervisors that say, don't send it to the state. There's a few supervisors that are lobbying very hard in committees, don't send it to the state till you get it all done. Well, I feel like we're asking staff to just spin. And it's like, if we got something the state wants to review, instead of just delaying it, because it feels like the tactic is to delay, get another extension on moratorium, it seems like it's more important to have a moratorium that'll just kind of continue. And the strategy, when you listen to certain supervisors, it's like, oh no, I don't want to work on this today. Let's kick the can for 2 more weeks and then ask a very simple question so they can delay it. And they're going to come to the county board and ask for an extension of the moratorium. And I'm worried that we're going to get in a legal battle, that we're going to have corporation counsel saying we can't extend the moratorium. We're going to have people fighting over it. And I thought before we get to the finish line, I feel like executive committee, whether we should weigh in or not, but I feel like there needs to be a little direction. And I just feel like we're setting ourselves up for some failure. And if we have information that the state could vet, and I know staff, I believe, is already vetting it, but I officially wanted to go on record to tell Corporation Counsel Administrator to get these drafts vetted by the state, which they'll do them, so we don't just keep working on something that won't get approved. It's like the Stour Trail. It's gone on for 10 years, right? And we can't have this CAFO thing hanging around, and the CAFO is going to be the new Stour Trail. That's what it feels like, watching it from a distance. So I've asked for it to be on the agenda. There's other people here that can give much more information, but I just wanted to key that up for everyone, that it just seems like, and then when these letters came this last week, then it's clear there's an intent out there to delay. And I'll just say it, it is happening. So, and we have 4 supervisors that signed the letter. So I don't know if there's more supervisors that want to delay it, but clearly 4 do. So I just want to bring that to your attention, Chair.
Anyone else want to comment?
Ask for a comment from Chairman Kim O'Connor.
I don't know. If that was one or not, we'll
We
see.
have to answer.
Well, you feel that everything is complete and
No, it's not complete. We got it vetted through the state by that max.
yeah, well, that's actually what I meant, yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, on G6.
Yeah, we're not looking for a full-blown thing. What we want to know is are the things ready to go to the state? And are we
Once it
just,
came back.
All right, so just an update, and that yesterday at the Environmental Services Committee, and that the operational based ordinance and that was presented and that from Corp Council, that is going to be sent to DATCAP, and that for their review of that. And then as far as the conditions on the conditional use permit, DATCAP took it on their own will and went to our website and pulled them. And then they provided us with a letter that was also included in your packet about their review. And basically out of the 17 conditions, they said that 12 of them and that were not compliant with the DATCAP code. So only 5 of them were. But they're really only reviewing it, and that for those DATCAP standards, they're not reviewing it for like a zoning standard or the actual DNR standards as well. So they're only looking at it through their own lens and saying that basically if it's not included in our code, that you shouldn't have it in your code. So, but anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So we will be sending both of them off, and that also staff is going to be working on those 12 conditions that they removed to try to take and get them somewhat compliant, and maybe DATCAP will approve more of them then. So that's what we're looking at doing in the next 2 weeks.
Chair? Okay, there it goes. So my question to Jason would be is, so you got a conditional use that you're already gotten feedback from DATCAP, and your committee is working on, and that was my concern, is that now you copied and pasted another ordinance. So you guys officially said for Corporation Counsel or Administrator to get that vetted through the state.
my concern is like for the constituents in Milltown, is that, and the question I want to get on the table now, is that when we come to that finish line and we have a conditional use process that, let's say, has been vetted, you guys have worked on it for a year. Now there's this understanding, and I actually heard it from a supervisor, that they did not want to let us pass a conditional use without having the operational one tied together, because they thought we would lose a little traction if they're not both together. But what I'm concerned about is that if we have a conditional use one ready, why wouldn't the committee push that through, get some protection in place, get it done? You've been working on it for a year, and to think that you're going to speed up one that's much more complicated, try to tie it together with the CUP, that we get to our board meeting in 2 months from now, I mean, I guarantee you we're heading for a little train wreck, and I think some of us know it. And I just want to avoid that, and I guess I would like to, you know, will environmental services have the CUP ready in time before the CUP part? Will they have that ready before the moratorium ends?
So if there's no major changes, it's still possible and that to get it finalized before the end of the moratorium.
Okay.
And the operational based ordinance, so at the same time, I believe that the Health and Human Services Committee, it was talked about, will be looking at the CUP and the operational based underneath their side. And the operation based is underneath the health standards, but those two could be enacted at two different times.
It can be.
There's currently a petition and that's been filed with the county clerk to take and adopt the CUP conditions, you know, and that, but that whole process would have to go into place for that operational based. And that, and unless things really move quickly here, and that I do not see that the operational based ordinance could be in place and that by the end of the moratorium due to public notice requirements and
Yeah,
stuff
you've done
like
your
that.
public meetings already on the CUP,
Correct.
you've done all that work.
So, and
Okay.
that, I think it should be clear in that operational based ordinance probably will not be in effect and that by the end of the moratorium unless it's extended.
Okay,
Also note, they're two separate,
they're totally standalone,
they're standalone ordinances.
so they don't have to go together.
No,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we had an update, and I don't know if anyone else has any other comments, but.
We do have those items on the agenda for next week, so we will be discussing, but there's no action on them.
It doesn't, I mean, you know, they, if I'm off, but Administrator Jason or Kim, I mean, you guys have been working on this for a year. To think that we all of a sudden have a draft of this operational one, I mean, that just seems a lot more complicated, and there's some financial ties to an ordinance like that. I mean, there's going to be a lot of work to do on that one to get it really cleaned up. And I just don't want to give any of us a false sense that, you know, that could happen any quicker than the CUP process, right? If the CUP took a year, why wouldn't this one take a year? Right? Tanya, you're not going to get this done in a month. Okay. I just wanted all of us to understand that.
well, the other thing is we have nothing in place right now,
We have nothing in place now.
nothing in place.
Right.
So
You could probably actually adopt a CUP process and then if you wanted to amend it, and that when you're doing the operational based ordinance, you could probably do that at the same time, you know, as well.
So, Chair, I don't know if it would be appropriate. I mean, and I know it's discussion, but it says possible action. Could we, in some kind of consensus, ask administration and staff to encourage that the CUP gets brought up prior to the condition, prior to the moratorium ending, so we actually do get to vote on the CUP before? Don't let this thing just kind of whoops, that we give direction and actually take action as a executive committee. And I don't know if it's legal to extend the moratorium, but the way I've understand it, the last couple times we've done this,
we had a year and we've done our work on the CUP, and I would like to have a clear voice here that it's clear to administration, staff, environmental services, you know, prioritize this. Let's make sure we have it on our agenda prior to the moratorium lapsing, or even prior to us voting on another one. If we need to, I mean, my idea would be is we'd have it on the agenda, you know, and then I don't know if you could do another moratorium on operations. Can you do a different moratorium? That'd be a legal question, Malia. Or are they all tied together?
The moratorium is on the development. So whatever limitations would be on the development, whether it's a zoning limitation, a siting, or an operations, you can only have the one. Now, it could be arguable that if you change the moratorium to include all livestock instead of just swine, because that's something different. However, again, I think regardless of the nature of the moratorium, it would be subject to challenge.
Okay. That's all my questions, Chair.
All right, what does the committee want to do? Do we want to request something from staff? Moving along.
I would make a motion to, that the CUP is brought to the county board prior to the moratorium expiring. What is that?
October.
Yeah, the moratorium would expire in October, so it'd probably be September county board then. Because I believe your October board would be after the moratorium expiration.
Okay, so we would want that on our September board agenda, to vote on the conditional use.
Is there a second to the motion? We're gonna lose it. Oh, my goodness, we got one. All right, any more discussion on it? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, we have 7 minutes. We're not starting our next meeting late. Which ones would you like to hit on? The human health hazard ordinance? We're probably not gonna get to too much of an update on the Clam Falls.
We have the fairgrounds. Say maybe we should just receive the information on D and not get into discussion about it. Can you just do the handout and let us read it for the next meeting?
Correct, and then I can just hit on D real quick. So you guys and that had a resolution in 2019 and that to look at making some amendments in that to the public nuisance and human health hazard ordinances of the county. And that we came through and that is kind of put on the back burner all spring. I'm guilty of that, definitely. We drafted a draft and that you have before you. It's definitely got some major formatting. It would be considered a comprehensive revision just because of the formatting changes and combining the two ordinances from the human health hazard and nuisance into one document. Staff would really like to work with public health on this and that to take and get some more of their input and make sure that the stuff that they've got to update in their health hazard ordinance that we get into there. That I'm by no means an expert, that we've had some preliminary talks on it, but we haven't got into a lot of detail. So this is basically just a first draft. If you want to put it on your future agendas, you can. If the executive committee feels that it should go back to Health and Human Services Committee, that could happen as well. So it's up to you guys where you guys want to put this. But anyway, that's about all we need to go over today. We just wanted to show you that we are working on it.
Question. So now this is a health ordinance. Is it countywide?
Correct, this is countywide ordinance.
Boy, the unsold towns know it.
And that, yep, and they have it right now, you know, but there's some changes in there for sure.
I would certainly think you got time. I would definitely think you'd want John's committee to go through this with you. There's no rush.
Okay, Don, yeah.
Basically just showing you that we've got a draft. It's definitely not flawless. There's definitely some issues that need to be worked out yet. So we just like to start that process to vet that and create a little kind of like an internal study group. I don't know if you guys want to have a supervisor on a group like that. And that to get some of your concerns, you know, and that addressed and that, but that's up to you guys.
I certainly would come to it as the chair and attend it for you if you wanted someone to be there.
Okay, so we'll set up a new group then with some internal staff, some key folks from council, from the sheriff's office, and internally, health department, and then we'll notice you as well.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jason.
All right, anything else on the agenda? We wanna. Got a couple minutes yet.
Number 12, if I do.
He struck number 12.
Struck 11.
No, struck 11.
Mr. Chair, regarding, I don't know if this is the right time, but regarding the fairgrounds, Jay and I had quite a visit with Cedar Corporation at the convention, and they said they had, they've met with the St. Croix City Planning Council. I presume more aware of all that, and they're working out issues with the St. Croix Planning Council. They have another meeting scheduled. So I think that's an update on that.
Do you want to have a closed session and discuss?
If we can do it in 2 minutes, I do, otherwise not.
Chad, do you have an update on the MOU, fair MOU, that we want to go into? Oh, Mo does, I'm sorry. You want to?
We have the reply back from the Fair Society.
Why?
We got it late yesterday. So we can either do it now or do it next time.
It is on the agenda for the General Government Committee also.
That should be the next step.
It falls under this.
I would say we met with the Fair Society about 2 weeks ago and let them know we really needed to update this meeting. We reached out yesterday.
The general government can handle the issues of approving anything?
I think so.
Also, as John said, the CUP for the city of St. Croix Falls for the fairgrounds, this is the CUP permit that went in. The 10th through the 11th of the morning. The planning meeting is Monday, Monday, August 17th at 7 o'clock. Present the permit in front of the city of St. Croix, and then there'll probably be a public meeting after that.
All right, we'll let the general government handle it. If anyone has any items they want to get on the next agenda, just let someone here know and get them on. We can have anything on the agenda. It doesn't have to come through me. Just get it on the agenda, and if they want to talk about it, we will. If they don't,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll stand adjourned at 10 o'clock.
I haven't had a chance.
And we will get the